Hey, I'm Jamey from Stonemaier Games, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite mechanism in Wishland. Wishland is a game that I backed on Kickstarter a few years ago, and I recently noticed that they are kickstarting the second printing, the second edition, maybe an expansion too. I'll put a link in the description below. And I actually hadn't played it until just today, but I was like, I see the Kickstarter, I might as well play it and talk about it. And I'm glad I did, because Wishland is a really, really good worker placement game. I really enjoyed my first play of it. There's nice engine building, there's tableau building, but my favorite thing definitely is the worker placement, because it does a few things that are particularly unique. So here's what the game kind of looks like here. I'll hold up the box so you can see. You have all these cards that come out, 5 different decks of cards, and mostly what you're doing in the game is putting a worker or workers next to one of those rows of cards and claiming one of those cards to add to your tableau. There's also one other action space, but mostly the game are these cards and deciding which cards you want to pursue, when you want to pursue them, and how to spend workers on them. You can see down here that there's a place to get lots more workers than you start out with. You start with 4 workers, and I believe you can get a total of, how many are over there? I think it was 10 or 11. 6 more workers, so you can get a total of 10 workers. And therein lies the rub of this game, the fun twist of this game, which is, it's tied to a few different elements, but the thing that I like the most is that if you manage to get all of your workers, then you unlock a bonus that says that whenever you place a worker or workers, you can use up to 3 additional workers as discounts, as money essentially, because money is pretty tight in this game. You'll be spending money to buy all of these cards, or most of these cards have cost to them, a monetary cost. So if you have all those workers, you unlock that ability where you can spend workers as coins, which feels really good. This felt like a great ability to unlock in the game. That is tied to the core flow of the worker placement of the game, which is a few different elements here. One is, if there's no one else at an action, so say, for example, this action, I would place 1 worker there. Place 1 worker, pay the cost, gain a card from that row. However, if I or another player already had a worker there, then to go there, I need to place 2 workers. And so 2 workers, this is a little bit like Honey Buzz, but it's also a little bit different in that you're always looking at how many other piles of workers are there. So if another player wanted to go there, or if I wanted to go there again, I would need to place 3 workers. So there's a reason to have a lot of workers in the first place, because it gives you more variety of actions that you can take at any given time. And on your turn, you were just doing that. You're placing workers, you're buying a card typically, or using this other action space. The other thing you can do on your turn, instead of placing workers, is just to retrieve all of your workers. So the more workers you have, the greater the less often you need to retrieve them. And so in general in this game, I think it is better, it is helpful to get more workers. However, we did this in different orders in our games. A few of us went after workers early and aggressively. One player didn't do that, and that player ended up playing just fine. He had he tied me for second place in the game. As a result of waiting to get workers. And I think maybe that's because he maybe a little more efficient with his actions. I'm not entirely sure. He focused a little bit more on money, but he was still able to succeed. And so you have this element of unlock an ability, workers become coins. More workers helps you choose actions that have already been taken by other players. And the final twist is that this is a round-based game, and at the end of the round, you don't retrieve your workers. You just leave them out there. And so at the beginning of the next round, there are already a bunch of workers probably on the board. Players might need to use their first turn that round to retrieve some workers. It took us a little bit to get into this part of the flow of the game because we're so used to retrieving workers at the end of a round in the game, and so used to having all those action spaces available. It broke the flow a little bit, but I really liked how the round structure added income to the game and kind of had that jarring effect of, wow, all these workers are still out there. They're still performing the duties. Just because we took a break in the game structure doesn't mean those workers are taking a break. So I thought that was a really clever addition. But overall, I think the thing that I'd love to see in other games that include lots of workers is this element of unlocking an ability to spend some of those workers as coins or whatever the currency is in that game. I thought that was a really, really clever addition to Wishland. There's also a really clever design in how these cards are designed. Each of the 5 types of cards does a different thing and often does multiple things really well. I won't go into that in this video. There are other videos about that, but I wanted to focus on that favorite mechanism as it relates to the worker placement. If you can think of another game that does this, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. Or if you have a different favorite mechanism in Wishland, let me know about that in the comments below as well. Thanks.